Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And I'm going to claim that this is my first autumnal build this year for fall because I'm in a fall mood. It is finally cool where I am, at least for today. I have to say, at least for today. It might not last because last week was super, super hot, which was well, was it really unseasonable? Maybe not, but we haven't really had a hot summer. So having this like week of hot weather all of a sudden in September really bummed me out. But anyway, this is my first autumnal build of the year. And I'm really excited about it because I'm building in Brindleton Bay, which is basically a New England world. I'm from New England. I've said this before. I am born and raised. I live in New England. I love it here. And the change of seasons is like my time to shine. I just absolutely adore it. I love fall. It's my favorite season. And we are building a Dutch colonial style home as well. Now, I found this picture on Pinterest and I was really intrigued by it because it had the chimney stack or like the smokestack, whatever you want to call it, in the front of the house, kind of slicing that Dutch colonial roof line in half. I didn't know how it was going to come out. I had no idea if I was going to be able to make it work. And I think I did, but I can't wait to hear what you guys think because it was really challenging. I always struggle with this particular style of home, specifically with the roof lines, because in The Sims, it's just a little bit, it takes a lot of finagling. It's a little bit challenging to do. And for me, it's always difficult to find a way to kind of merge all of these different roof pieces together to make it look like a cohesive shape. And this house... You can see me trying to do this right now. I was thinking to myself, it's going to be like a medium-sized house. It's not going to be a big deal. Maybe I'll get like 3 bedrooms in here. Y'all, this is a 6-bedroom house, okay? I don't know how this happened. It is a 4-bathroom, 6-bedroom house. It's actually huge. We're building on a 30 by 30 lot, I want to say, in Brindleton Bay. It's either 30 by 30 or 30 by 40. I want to say 30 by 30. It looks like a pretty square lot. But yeah, it's huge. It actually frightened me, which is why this video is so long. So buckle up because we're going to have a really great time. It's going to be really neat. I promise you will love this house. That seems really big. Maybe I won't promise it. I really liked this house. I thought it came out really nicely. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. But you can see I'm spending a lot of time trying to figure out all of these different jutting out pieces and to maintain this architectural roofline that is basically a staple of Dutch colonial homes. And I think I did it. I think the primary roofline up top, it's a little bit weird. I don't know how else to articulate that. It's a little bit odd, but a lot of the jutting out pieces and the balance of the overall structure feels okay. Hopefully you all agree. Hopefully you all like it. But what else? Oh, that's what I was going to say is with the Dutch colonial roof lines in The Sims 4, it sometimes makes it really challenging to create larger spaces unless the house is like a really large scale. Because we all know that scaling doesn't really, like proportions don't translate over to The Sims super well compared to real life. So I was thinking with all of these different roof lines and the way that you have to do that in The Sims 4, I was thinking, oh man, that's why it's only going to be like a 3-bedroom maybe upstairs because there can't be that much space. Again, I played myself because there was plenty of space. I was shook to my core, shooketh to my core when I realized how much space I had. I was so scared. I was talking to my dear friends Rachel and Reese as I was building this house, as I often do. And Rachel Ped, my dear sweet best friend, so she makes really big houses all the time. And you know what she does in Discord? Rach, don't come for me. She comes in Discord and she's like, help, it's so big. Look at all this space. What do I do? And I'm like, Rach, I don't have empathy right now. You do this to yourself all the time. You always do this. And then I came into Discord and I was like, help, it's so big. I've pulled a Rachel Ped. Like, what do I do? And she quite literally laughed at me, as she should. This house just made me think of her because she always makes these huge houses and she doesn't realize it. And now I'm understanding more so why. Because when I was looking at the exterior of this house, again, I really didn't think it was going to be that big. I didn't think I had that much space to play around with. I got inside and I kind of panicked a little bit. I was thinking to myself, do I bulldoze it? do I just not do this? I was not prepared. This is not what I set out to do. I thought this was going to be just like a medium-sized home. It's not. It's really big, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. But then I pulled myself up by my bootstraps here, and I was like, no, we're doing this. We're doing it, we're committing. I really like the exterior shape. I'm gonna do this to the fullest. And I think it took me maybe 3 or 4 days, which is less than I was anticipating considering the size and the amount of detail that I put into a lot of the rooms. But it still felt like a really long time, and I forced myself to finish it on that last day because I was like, I can't let this linger anymore. It's driving me nuts. I want to share it. I want it to be done. I want to see the final product. So I pushed myself to finish it. I'm kind of paying for it. My arm is a little bit sore. And if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I've had an enduring arm injury, I'll say, for probably the past like 2.5 years at this point, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. I think it was originally diagnosed, if you will, because the diagnosis is a little bit odd for these things. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. But for me, it was potential like tendonitis in my bicep, which is very interesting. I'm not going to go into all the details. But anyway, I'm paying for it now. It's getting a lot better, though. We're okay. We are working on the landscaping, and I love the landscaping. You can see I use a lot of tool mod, a lot of debug from the Get Together debug menu in particular. It's always my go-to, but these fall colors coming through with these landscaping items bring me so much joy. And I took a lot of trees from that debug menu, sized them down, and then like elevated them down beneath the ground so they looked like shrubs. Now the thing is, when you zoom in live mode and you're kind of like up close to all of these things with the camera, they disappear because they're technically trees. But generally speaking, they look really nice. I also wanted this. This was my plan. Okay, I'm getting like lost in my own thoughts. So my plan was for this house to have a lot of fall decor outside. So I placed like a wreath on the door. I placed a bunch of pumpkins and like hay bales leading up to the front walkway. I thought that was really nice. And then inside there are touches of fall decor, but you can either get rid of them if you don't want this to be a fall themed home for you and you want to just play with it regularly, or you can change swatches of things to just change up the style, right, and the theme. That was my hope. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be overly decorated because I wanted it to be accessible for people who did want to just play with it regularly and not have it be themed. But you can see we are onto the interior. Now, my other goal with this was to use the Modern Luxe kit because I hadn't used it yet. This was built probably a couple days after that kit came out, or at least when I started it. So I wanted to use the Modern Luxe kit, but I did want this to have kind of a rustic feel to it as well. So I used these Jungle Adventure floors, and I mixed a lot of horse ranch with more modern and contemporary touches. And let me just tell you, I don't know if generally speaking this works, but to me, this worked really, really nicely, and I'm very, very proud of this. I thought it meshed together well. So I used, for example, these couches from the Desert Luxe kit, and then the side tables from Seasons with these lamps from Growing Together, which are very modern contemporary touches, but we've got like the big stone fireplace from Horse Ranch. We've got the rocking chair from Horse Ranch. And then I also add some of the artwork from the Modern Luxe kit on top of these bookcases. So again, trying to tie in some of these more modern contemporary pieces and details with things that are a bit more rustic, because I think y'all know me at this point. If you have been watching my videos for a long time, rustic builds are probably my favorite. Like, I love cozy rustic things. It is my jam. It's either that or it's like whites and blues coastal vibes like that. Those are my two states of being. Those are the two styles that I really, really like for interior decorating. Like contemporary and modern, not my thing at all. But if I can mix some of those accents and details with my rustic preference, I think it works out okay. And I get really excited about it. Like, I use these big barn doors as archways because they are technically archways. I use them into the living room, into, I'm going to call that like a back mudroom right through that archway. And then there's also one from the kitchen into the dining room, I want to say. But I use the smaller archways just from base game for other spaces, just because obviously these doors would be way too big. I was trying to get funky here with with these mirrors from Growing Together, but they're a little bit too big to do what I wanted to do. I've done this before. I don't remember where I saw it at one point. If you guys know who has done this before, that's kind of like a big thing. There's probably multiple people that do this. I don't know. But I've used the mirrors from, I want to say Tiny Living and maybe Discover University, and I've kind of made like a collage of mirrors. Is that tracking? I don't know. I didn't mind it here, but I end up getting rid of it, and I put one of those pieces of artwork from Seasons that is a little bit more fall themed, just to kind of tie in the time of year. But again, what's great is you can take that and you can change the swatch to like spring or winter, depending on the season. You could also get rid of those pumpkins and candles if you want. And here, let me call this out because someone's going to notice it because you all have keen eyes. I accidentally had my other reshade preset on while I was decorating the hallway and the dining room. It doesn't look bad. I think it looks really nice. This is Coffee by Queen Sherlock. It's one that I use specifically for Let's Plays. I use Dove 2.0 for all my build footage typically, so you're going to see a shift in the reshade and the coloring. I wanted to call it out so it wasn't a surprise and I didn't have to like address it in the comments, to be honest, because I know someone's going to pick up on it. And I didn't realize it until I went to go take screenshots and I tried to add a depth effect with one of the keyboard shortcuts and it didn't work because they're different for the presets. And I was like, oh, I used the wrong preset to record that entire room. Look at me go. It's because I was actually playing with my legacy and filming a update to my Platonic series as well. If you haven't caught that, definitely check it out. But I record that with the other preset. So anyway, we're in the dining room. So I used, again, the more modern table from Seasons with these rustic chairs from Horse Ranch. And I loved it. I loved it. And these curtains are also from the Modern Luxe kit. So again, trying to tie all those pieces together. And specifically, I love these curtains because they are very much like the Desert Luxe kit curtains where you have a panel for each side of the window, but also the curtain rod. So you can basically make it look like it extends across larger areas if you want it to look like a single curtain. Yeah, not panel, single curtain. Yes, okay. I'm going to go with that. But the dining room is pretty much coming together at this point. It's not heavily decorated. That is something with the primary living spaces in this build. I didn't go too nuts with decorations. I wanted to keep it, I'm not going to say minimal, but I didn't want it to look over cluttered. I think, again, at this point, you guys probably know, I go nuts with clutter when it comes to like kids' rooms and things like that. So the kids' rooms, let me talk about the family dynamic. So there are 2 parents, 2 kids, a teen, a toddler, and 2 infants. So what, we've got 2 parents, 2 infants, a toddler, 2 kids, and a teen? Is that too many? No, that's 8 Sims, right? Yeah, that's 8 Sims. So we have a full household. I was going to make it like a generations family home and have a grandparents' bedroom somewhere, but I like to put grandparents' bedrooms on the first floor. Does it really matter in The Sims? No, but I like to do that, and I didn't do that here, so I ended up just making it for a really large family, a family with 6 kids, and I think the toddler and 2 infants alone are basically the equivalent of caring for 8 adult Sims because the needs of the infants alone are just, that would be off the charts. So it's for a really, really big family. I added toddler potties in all the bathrooms. Thank goodness I didn't forget to do that. And of course, we have a dining table that's perfect for all of them. Now, since the kitchen was so big, I thought this was a great opportunity to have a big island and have the stove and oven within the island. I barely get to do that because of how I end up designing my houses. It's my own choice, but this felt so appropriate and I was so excited to do that here. It filled the space really well, and that's what I was worried about because there was so much space in this kitchen. I didn't know if I could decorate the whole thing. Like, I didn't know how this was going to turn out. And I loved using the black appliances as well as this black and white backsplash too. I don't typically, and I don't know why, this seems to be ingrained in me, maybe in regards to matching certain colors for dressing. I don't know. But black, white, and brown, I have always been told they don't necessarily go together. I would say wherever I picked that up from, you should stand corrected because I think it looks great in this room. That's just me. I love it. I love the darker browns with the black and the white. I love the darker appliances. I think they complement each other really nicely. There's like a warm coziness to this color scheme, but also a sense of, I don't know, just that contemporary feel. I see a lot of contemporary interiors. They're either super colorful And it's really just kind of like the shape of things or the placement of things and the balance of certain shapes and whatnot. Look at me talking as if I know anything about this. I really don't. But I see a lot of contemporary interiors being very like black and white or just very neutral toned. So combining all of these just kind of makes sense to me. I'm just rambling. We're almost done decorating the kitchen. Look, I just didn't have much to say in the kitchen, okay? It's not heavily cluttered, but one thing I did do is I used the new lunch boxes that we got in the base game update recently. Now, can I just say, number one, it was easy to find the lunch boxes because they were under like the kids decor category or something. But the backpacks were not in the decoration category they used to be in, and it took me a really long time to find them. And saying that out loud, I can't tell you off the top of my head where I ended up finding them, but I did find them, and I put them in some of the kids' rooms. But they changed that, I believe, and it was really difficult for me to find. Though this is one of the bathrooms, so there's 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs, which I think is really nice. They are they all full bathrooms? This one has a shower tub combo. The ones upstairs definitely are full bathrooms. But I think the second bathroom downstairs has a washer and dryer. Now with 8 Sims in the house, you probably don't want to do the laundry of 8 Sims. Get rid of those and make it a full bathroom if you please. I just wanted it to be a little bit of a different space. I didn't just want a bunch of bathrooms all being the same. So I figured having a washer and dryer would be kind of nice. But where was I going with this thought? I don't know. This is basically what I would consider the mudroom. It is right off the hallway and off the archway that leads into the living space, but it also leads to the back deck going to the backyard. And though I have a closet here right now, I do end up putting a standing piano in that little space instead. It ended up being perfect. I've got the Don't Wake the Llama table, and then there is just a console table, which I'll say made out of 2 little end tables from Laundry Day. I thought that was really nice, and I just kind of decorated it again with some more like pumpkins and some little fall candles and other decorations just to make it look, well, decorated and lived in and comfortable and cozy and personalized and not just repetitive. I mean, the pumpkins are a bit repetitive. The pumpkins are everywhere, okay? They come from I think it's from the Spooky Day stuff pack. Yeah, I think it's the Spooky Day stuff pack. You can get rid of those. Again, if you want to just kind of strip back and get rid of the fall stuff, do it. This is where I found the lunch boxes. I added 3 of them downstairs. Again, there's 6 kids in this house, but maybe only a couple of them still pack a lunch and take it to school, and the others just want to buy their lunch. It's whatever you want, but I just thought it was nice for storytelling. And this little room here, I was going to make it a bedroom originally, and then I thought, oh, let's make it like a kid's playroom. But it really didn't feel big enough to me to make it a full playroom the way that maybe this house would call for. If there was a playroom in this house, I feel like it would be a lot bigger. So I didn't think I wanted to take that route. I tried, but I ended up stripping it back, and I made it just a little tiny office with maybe a couple of kids' activities. So there's the creativity table. There ends up being a few more bookcases. There's a desk with a family computer for everybody to be able to use, as well as, I want to say, a toy box. Because at the time, even though I knew there were going to be 6 bedrooms in this house, when I was furnishing this room, I didn't know what the dynamics quite were. I knew there was going to be at least a child, and therefore like a toy box could satisfy kids playing with toys, toddlers playing with toys, and infants playing with toys, I think. I think it could. So that was kind of a catch-all. But I just added a few more decorations, again, trying to make it a little bit more fall themed. And you can tell too, like the pumpkins that are outside, they could be more catered towards Spooky Day compared to just the fall season. Again, get rid of them if you don't want them. That's perfectly fine. I really wanted to use that aquarium from Cats and Dogs, but it was still just a little bit too big for this space. So I did pull back. This is when I got the standing piano and decided to toss that in this little like mudroom back entryway. And I do end up, I'm not sure if I do it on camera, I might, but I tossed some decorations up on top of the piano as well, just so it didn't look empty or anything like that. I use this toy box multiple times throughout the build in different swatches. So that's fair, I guess, but I wanted toy boxes everywhere. There are some that are specifically in the kids' room so they can, like, in theory, not have to share their toys with all their siblings, you know what I mean? And they complemented the rooms really nicely. But here I am decorating the top of the standing piano. I did use the tool mod multiple times throughout this build to take paintings and make them look as though they are leaning on top of surfaces. I really, really like doing that. It's very simple to do that with the tool mod, at least for me, kind of once you understand what the tool mod can do, it is really, really quick. I've gotten questions before about a tutorial for the tool mod. I don't know if I can do that, but I might try. If that is of interest to you, let me know. I know that in another video, I asked if you all wanted to see how to use Wicked Whims specifically as a pose player, and I would totally be willing to do that as well. I have done a pose tutorial in the past, which I will link to the top right-hand side of the screen now if you want to check it out. But that one's a little bit old at this point. Nothing's really changed. If you kind of go the traditional posing route with Andrew's Pose Player and the Teleport Any Sim mod, that still is very applicable, but I just learned how to use Wicked Whims as a pose player, which is primarily why I have it in my game at this point. And it is so convenient. So maybe kind of doing a compare and contrast of that with the standard posing mods could be beneficial. I don't know, let me know. But we're on to the primary bedroom upstairs, and this is where I really started to notice that the Modern Luxe kit and the Horse Ranch expansion pack actually really work well together. So I use the bed. This bed is so gorgeous. I love this swatch so much. I really like that kit. It's not my style. Like, modern things are not my style. I've said this before. I don't think I'm good at building modern homes. I don't really like the modern style of interior decorating. It's not my jam. But this kit is like really pretty. And I used the pillows. Oh my gosh, the pillows. The pillows. I did it off camera. I put a few of them on the couch. It may have blocked a seat or two on the couch technically, but not a huge deal. You can get rid of them if you don't want them there. I liked them as decorative pieces. But yeah, this is where I really tied these two packs together. I think I love this bed. And then I used an open wardrobe and then the standing closed wardrobe from Horse Ranch in kind of this more, I guess I'll call it like a distressed, darker wood tone. It doesn't match anything per se, but the gold accents all kind of tie together. Hopefully you all agree. I was just shocked. I was really surprised. I wanted to try it out and I was like, we're gonna go out on a limb here. Let's see if it works. I think it worked really nicely. And I think I even used the rug that came with the Modern Luxe kit as well in this bedroom. And I used the ottoman from Horse Ranch at the foot of the bed with kind of this like lighter brown and white cow print. I don't know why, you guys, but it worked. And that right there, like that moment is where I was like, yep, I love this. Like, look at that. They have contrasting, or not even contrasting, it's kind of conflicting patterns, but it worked. I got really excited over it. We do quickly decorate the hallway, which is not very exciting. I put a console table from Laundry Day, just so it looks like there's some extra storage. I again tried this mirror thing that I wanted to do downstairs up here in the hallway, but it still didn't work for me. I was really trying. It didn't really work for me. So I think I just put a couple of the tiny living mirrors and do that same thing. Again, I've done this in other builds before. I think it looks really nice. I also add like a plant, and there's also the smaller standing wardrobe from Growing Together in the hallway. I thought that was kind of a nice touch. It could serve as like a faux linen closet, or it's just another touch point as your Sims are heading downstairs to like head out the door, that maybe you could have them change into their cold weather outfit or something like that, or change out of their pajamas and, you know, get ready for their day. I always like to do that. I mention that all the time, but when I'm actually playing with my Sims, I love having them stop at a wardrobe to change their outfit compared to like hopping out of the shower in their everyday outfit. Do you know what I mean? I love doing that. If it doesn't work out, I end up using MC Command Center to change outfits, which is also super convenient. But here we end up working on the first kids' room, which has a very pink and red theme. This is where I officially got comfortable putting conflicting patterns together. The bed has kind of a striped pattern. The wallpaper is very busy. It's from Cottage Living. So I'll add that. So Modern Luxe, Horse Ranch, Cottage Living, done. Like, great packs to put together from my perspective. And that is not a recommendation I have yet heard, but maybe you all would agree. I don't know. But yeah, I used this wallpaper that's really busy. I used this rug from Growing Together because it has like these pinks and reds and purples and stuff that go with this desk from high school years. Like, there is just a mix of different packs in these rooms, and I just think they work. And this is probably one of the first times I've really felt okay with it. I've done it before where I've mixed different styles and I'm like, yeah, I think that looks nice. And I was trying to like hype myself up, being like, yeah, you know, it works, it's okay. But here in these kids' rooms and teens' rooms and stuff that I end up doing for this build, I'm like, yeah, no, I really went all out. Like, I was just trying to make the rooms be different. I didn't want all the bedrooms to be fall themed. I didn't think that was super realistic. I've done that before when there's like one kid's room or something like that, so the whole house kind of carries through that theme. But in this one, it's a big enough build. I wanted it to be a little bit more versatile. I didn't want you to have to change up 6 bedrooms worth of decor to strip back a certain season. So, yeah. So this is for a child sim, maybe like a preteen. I don't know, probably a child sim. And I don't know if they really like red and pink and stuff like that, I guess, since it's color of everything in their room. But they do have a desk. They've got some like games and stuff stacked on top of those little cube things. They've got a toy box. I did put a chair in front of the walk-in closet because honestly, the walk-in closets, unless I'm missing something, I may have said this before in a voiceover too, I don't think that you can change your Sim's outfit. I don't mean plan outfits. You can plan outfits, which brings you into Create a Sim, so you can like make additional outfits for your Sims. But I don't think you can just click on it like you can a normal wardrobe and say like change outfit and then just pick the outfit to change to, which seems really, really silly for a walk-in closet item. That's just me. If I'm wrong and I've just overlooked it for quite literally months of playing, like do tell me. I miss things sometimes, but I swear you can't do that, and that's so weird to me. Anyway, this room is almost done. I did recall putting hampers in most of the rooms. I think there's one room, a teen room, that I didn't end up putting a hamper in, which was just an oversight. And this is also me trying to go through these freaking menus to find the backpacks because I couldn't find them. I couldn't find it for the longest time. I don't even remember where I ended up finding it, but I did. I even tried to search backpack in the search bar and I could not find it. I was so frustrated, but I ended up finding it finally. It was in like kids' wall decor now or something. It was the weirdest thing. I don't get it, but I did find it and I ended up placing a backpack in most of the rooms. So that's a kid's room / preteen. This room right here, I believe is primarily going to be for a teen. I wasn't really thinking a preteen here. I was thinking teen. I did struggle with the color scheme for some time. I wanted them all to be slightly different, but not so much to cater to different Sims personalities per se, but just to make the rooms all feel unique. However, there's one kid's room. It's like a blue and I won't necessarily say yellow color scheme, but I think they really like sports, and that's as detailed as I got with, I think, the Sims' interests, because I did leave these rooms, even though they're very colorful and maybe themed in a sense, I didn't really identify a lot of interests of these particular Sims because I didn't think all of them through. Again, just trying to leave things fairly versatile for you all. You can change whatever you'd like if you download my builds, but I always try to find a balance. Sometimes I go like super themed. I'm like, I have this very particular family in mind. They like X, Y, and Z. This is their job. They dislike X, Y, and Z. I don't know. But for this one, I just knew it was for a big family and I wanted all the rooms to be different. So this one's a little bit smaller, but I did get a double bed in here and it is for a teen sim. And I think the only thing that I really identified was that they do like cheerleading. So I've got like the cheerleading pom-poms on the walls above the bed, which I thought was a nice touch. I haven't used that as a wall decoration ever, so it was just a little bit different for me. It was a really small space, so it was challenging to fit in activities, but I did get that desk in. They have their own tablet, which is nice. I do get rid of that mirror and I end up putting another side table with a lamp. I also use this beautiful piece of base game artwork that I have either never used or haven't used in a really long time. And I thought that that was really, really pretty and I wanted to use that here. And then I do add a wall mirror in lieu of this mirror I have here. And I use those pom-poms to kind of like frame the photo above the bed. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. It was a little bit different. I just haven't done it before. This space was challenging to furnish because it was just so square and so small and I didn't really know what to do. But I do give them a guitar as well. So maybe the sim is more so like artsy. I don't really know. I've got like the skateboards up on the wall, the guitar, I've got the Polaroids on the door. I do get rid of the knitting basket, I think, and I think I add one of those faux little like baskets of clothes from high school years as well, just to add some clutter, adding the backpack, of course, and cluttering up the walls just a little bit more. So it's got personality. It's just kind of a snug space. And then over here is going to actually be the toddler room. So there's one toddler and I went with like a green and blue and white theme, which I thought was kind of nice. These curtains from Growing Together, I use them more in this build than I ever did in my Growing Together builds, which is kind of funny. I don't know why that is. I think it's because they're so big and they don't overlap really nicely for smaller windows, so it's kind of hard to use them. That could also just be my opinion as well. You don't have to share that opinion. But I really did like this room. I thought it was really sweet. I tried to just, again, clash a bunch of like different patterns and things together. So the wallpaper has like the bunnies and the squirrels and the mushrooms and the nuts. I'm sorry, there's no squirrels. It's just bunnies? Yeah, it's just bunnies. But then I also used that rug from the Horse Ranch expansion pack with the sheep on it because I just think it is really, really precious. I had a changing table over here and add a few decorative items as well. Now, this is one of the changing tables from base game, which this just reminded me, and if I am about to go on a rant, I'm so sorry. But I just think it's so odd that we got a changing table that matches the base game infant items in an expansion pack. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's great when items match, of course. I want that. But exclusively, I think the one that matched it came with Growing Together, which I thought was so weird. Actually, wait, didn't changing tables... I'm trying to remember things here. I think changing tables exclusively came with Growing Together, didn't they? Oh my gosh, I think they did. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember. I don't want to spread a bunch of nonsense, but I'm recalling that. And if I'm incorrect, please tell me. Either way, we are almost done with this little toddler room. It's really not heavily decorated. I feel like when I use wallpapers that have a fun pattern on them and stuff like that, especially this one with, I don't know, the repeating pattern and all these cute little like doodles almost, I tend to not decorate the walls as much because it feels almost too cluttery. And yet at the same time for these kids' rooms, I was mixing patterns, making them look cluttered without maybe over cluttering. The more I look back on it, I think the first kids' room, like the preteen room, is probably the most cluttered out of all of them. Though this one right here that we're about to work on is fairly cluttered too. And this is the room that I mentioned earlier. This is the one where they have like a defined hobby, or at least set of hobbies. I think they just really like sports. And let me just say, okay, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, not that it's a big deal, but I was not a sports person whatsoever when I was in school, like playing sports or anything like that. Nope. I played soccer, i.e. American football, right? Wait, no. Let me correct that. It would be called football elsewhere, okay? But American soccer, that's what I'm trying to get at. American soccer. I played soccer in maybe late elementary school and part of middle school. I can't really recall, but essentially at some point it did become competitive. You had to try out for teams, and it was travel soccer. You had to have like a special uniform and everything, and it was a big time commitment. And to be completely fair, I was not good. I was not a good soccer player. Let me just tell you the story. This is what I recall. If this is inaccurate, no one in my life has corrected me, okay? So I'm trying to depend on my memory here. My very first soccer game when I was, I'm going to say like 4th grade, I think. Maybe 3rd. I can't remember exactly when I started. But the very first soccer game that I had, I unfortunately had just sprained my ankle prior to the season starting. And they put me in the goal because I had a sprained ankle. Like I couldn't run around and kick the ball and everything. But when I look back on it, I'm like, so you done put me in the goal? Because every single person aimed at my foot that was sprained with that dang ball. Like, it scarred me. I did not like being the goalie whatsoever because at that age too, they just kind of swapped us out in different positions. Like you didn't hold a particular position. We didn't actually, I don't know. I didn't know the positions in soccer at that age because I think we were still too young to really implement that and have us maintain it. So we all just kind of rotated out, and I was placed in the goal because I couldn't run. And it was horrifying because I did not like the ball just being kicked at me. Did not want to try to stop the ball because that would often happen with my face. Not a fan. And yeah, I had a sprained ankle, so like I couldn't really move anyway. And I would try to stop the ball with my sprained ankle because it was like kind of my dominant foot. It was my right foot. So my instinct was to use that foot, and it was the injured one. So I was pretty scarred from that. I didn't enjoy soccer that much after that. That was my first game, but I played for a couple more years, and I just really wasn't that good. Like I did not compete at all with the other people on my team. And I don't know, I'm just not a very competitive person when it comes to sports anyway, or really like winning. I just can't care anymore. Maybe when I was a little bit younger I cared, but not so much then, even when I played soccer. So by the time I got to high school, I wanted to play a sport because I thought it would be good for me. And soccer wasn't it because I was not about to try out and be embarrassed for not making the team. That was my mindset then. It is what it is. But I also tried track and field for about 2 weeks because I was told that I would be a really good sprinter because I'm small. I'm not even 5 feet tall. I've also said this. I'm not even 5 feet tall. Everyone was like, you'd be a great sprinter. Like, you'd be so fast. You'd be great. But I have, I don't know the intricacies of this. I just remember a doctor telling me that this is what was going on with my knee. One of my knees, I had Osgood-Schlatter's disease in that knee, and trying to snap my knees back to appropriately sprint, oh my gosh, it was like a flame licking my leg every single time. I don't know how else to explain it. It's, to my knowledge, when things just don't attach correctly kind of in your knee. I think it's specific to the tendon. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a doctor. I haven't looked into it in a very long time. But when I would kneel down on that knee, it was like fire going up my leg. Like, it was so painful because you're kneeling right on it. So basically trying to snap my knee back, it was just bad, you guys. I don't know how else to articulate this. It was just miserable. So I did track for literally 2 weeks and I was like, I hate this. I hated it so much. I don't like running. I didn't have very high endurance to begin with. So joining track and field, I just did it because my friends were doing it, peer pressure and all that. And I just wanted to like athletics, but I just don't. I just don't at all. I don't enjoy it at all. I don't enjoy participating in sports, but I love watching hockey and baseball, which I feel like are two extremes. Hockey is very fast paced and can be a little bit violent depending on what you're watching. And then baseball is super slow. And a lot of people don't like watching baseball unless they are actively at a game compared to watching it on TV. So I don't know. Oh, I also did jujitsu when I was a kid for a very brief period of time. I was literally just talking to Rachel Ped, one of my dear friends. She was telling me that she did karate when she was younger. And I was like, oh my God, I did jujitsu. And I actually really liked jujitsu when I was a kid. I don't really remember why I ended up stopping. It doesn't really matter, but I enjoyed it. I, again, wasn't very competitive with it, to be honest. But I think that's my problem. Like, I'm just not competitive enough to really care about sports. And that's my stance on that. Like, I just don't care enough. Also, I just looked up Osgood-Schlatter's disease and it's more of like an overuse injury. So I don't know if that was like a temporary thing for me or what, but now I am curious to maybe talk to my mom about what the heck was wrong with my knee. Because essentially what happened is, I think a particular tendon or something attached to a bone in my leg incorrectly during like a growth spurt or something. I'm trying to pull memories from well over a decade ago at this point. And I kind of can't, but it like really, really hurt. And that bump is still there. Like my knees do not look the same. I don't know what it is. Am I broken? Maybe a little bit. But anyway, I talked all the way through that nursery for twins is what I was thinking. And now we're decorating this little side porch and then we're going to move on to the backyard as well. Now, I've been struggling with my yards and activities outside lately. So this little side porch was fine. I've got like some gardening pots. I've got a telescope. I've got just a little table if your Sims want to sit out there and enjoy just being outside. And then I have a grill and I think I keep the flower arranging station. I want to say I do because it's just kind of a weird nook. And then there's also another outside dining table with an umbrella. But this yard, there wasn't as much yard as I thought there was. Maybe there was a lot of it, but it wasn't as deep of a yard as I was anticipating. So I struggled to lay things out and figure out what activities I could realistically add here. I really, really wanted a treehouse. Desperately wanted it, and technically it fit off to the side there on the left, but it looked so disproportionate even to the house. Like that treehouse, the trees that you build the treehouse in, they seem really big to me. I don't know why. They just seemed so disproportionate to the house. I wasn't enjoying it. It took up way too much of the space that it felt overcrowded. So I ended up not doing it. Just know that you have space if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to remove this landscaping that I'm doing right now and add the treehouse, you totally could. I just chose not to, and I wanted to carry a lot more of this fall landscaping into the backyard, which again, there is that outside dining table, and then I add a little fire pit and a swing set since there are some kids in this build. I didn't add any specific toddler activities outside, so perhaps there's an opportunity to do that. I also added, I think, a few more gardening pots off to the right-hand side, as well as just like a little bench. But I didn't really go nuts with decorations out here, so you can add or take away things as you see fit. But this is pretty much where I'm going to leave you all. I hope you enjoyed this build. I love this one so much. I'm very proud of it, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. And I'll catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
The shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the world, what's in a life you never could offer. Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. Never learn to rise above these crowds, stuck in the dust of the life that you found, with nowhere to go, no higher ground. Even if you never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight, although you're earthbound. Take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down. You can still take flight, although you're